Our life is a constant balance between action and inaction, of speaking and being silent, of going towards something and then waiting, of mind and heart, of activity and then neutrality. Our life is a constant dance or rhythmic pattern of activity and then cessation of activity, of actually execution and then trust, going at it and then patience. And right now I'm experiencing something in my life that is really making this apparent for me, where I have something going on right now that I'm not going to get deeply into the details of, but the past few days, or the past week rather, I have been all in mentally of researching and sorting things out and filing things and contacting people and being put on hold and all this big deal stuff. And I've been putting so much time and attention and energy into that alone. And I've been making steps. I've been making progress. I've created an immense amount of ground in this thing that I've been trying to do. It's a lot of like legal stuff. Like I said, I'm not going to get super into it, but it's stuff, it's like big boy adulting stuff that I'm trying to figure out. And there's been a lot of anxiety, there's been a lot of conflict, there's been a lot of suspicion. And so to counteract that, I've been taking aggressive action in this particular thing. And today, I literally took today off from work to go head first into studying and putting together this stuff that I've been looking into, this legal stuff. And today I realized, after a sort of breaking point in a way, that first of all, there's nothing else I can do. I've done everything I can, and now it's the universe's next step to take action and make further progress. I've done everything I can do, and I'm exhausting myself by trying to make more leaps and bounds that are unnecessary, and also I'm incapable of making, because I've recognized I've done everything I can do. And thirdly, I've realized that what I need to do now is to stop doing, to stop trying, to stop trying to sort it all out and figure it all out and get in touch with all of them and wrap my head around it completely and tie off all the loose ends and get it all figured out. I've done everything I can, and now what I need to do is to let the situation continue to play out accordingly. Now, what I have to do in order to do this is essentially surrender, which we don't like to do. We don't like to let go. We think it's by virtue of our activity that everything gets done, but we don't realize that one of the biggest periods or intervals of development and progress is when we stop doing stuff. I mean, if you want me to get metaphorical, think of when you go to bed at night. That's when you reset. That's when you rejuvenate and become refreshed. I think of the end of every day as like a reset, you know what I mean? And when you wake up, you're juiced right up with all your neurotransmitters, all your dopamine and serotonin and adrenaline and all of it. You're ready to go with all of it. And the way you play out is like a storage of how much juice you got for the day, you know, but sticking to what I'm saying, the sleeping is the recharge. And the sleeping, you're not really doing much. We could all agree on that you're kind of just not doing anything. Or when you think about when you pump an iron and you're working out, you think that's what's doing it. Yeah, they go together, they're in tandem with each other, but what goes and is just as important as the pumping of the iron is the interval between now and the next time you pump the iron, because that's when the growth takes place. If you sat there and just kept pumping iron, you'd destroy yourself, and consequentially you'd never grow. But when you pump enough iron and then stop, you give your body the opportunity to grow. And man, this is exactly the same thing when it comes to taking action in our lives, whether it's, like in my instance, a legal situation where you're trying to figure it all out, or if you're trying to pursue a goal or a dream that you have, or you think about in relationships, it's not a one-way street. You need to do some, but then you need to get some. You need to give some, and then equally so, get some. If you're just the only one doing activity, giving, and the other person's always just receiving and not doing anything, that's an out of balance relationship. That's an imbalance. Or if you're the one that's constantly keeping the conversation alive, and then the second you decide to sort of idle out a little bit, neutral out a little bit, and all of a sudden the conversation's not going anywhere, that tells you that there's not a reciprocal match of energy, where you're putting more juice into the situation than the other person is. And during the period of activity, you're not really noticing that you're the one keeping it alive. But consequentially, you begin to atrophy the connection by being the only one doing things, the only one doing stuff, the only one putting in the effort. And it's the same thing when it comes to taking action or making progress towards things we're doing in our life, where if we do, and we never stop doing, we begin to atrophy the process. We begin to get in the way. And I've started to realize that some of the most beautiful, I'd even go so far as to say some of the most beautiful things that have ever happened in my life were things that happened naturally. Meaning, things that happened without me trying to make them happen. You think about when you plant a seed. When you plant a seed, you water it, you plant it, you water it, and then what do? Do you tell the soil to activate the enzymes in the seed that soften the shell and let the taproot come out and then do you tell the taproot you got to grow more tendrils to grab more and anchor yourself in and make sure to pull up the water and transport the nutrients to the top so that you can push yourself through the soil to start photosynthesizing? And do you do any of that? Or is that all up to God? Is that all up to the universe? Is that all up to nature, if you will? What you do is your fair share of action. You plant the seed. You water the seed. You plant and water the seed in the proper conditions. You take the seed and you put it in the right conditions. And then you let God do the rest. Now, if you let God do the rest and you never look at it again, there's a chance that it could develop a disease, or it gets crowded and because you haven't defoliated it, or you haven't trimmed it or whatever. It can get crowded, it can get underwatered, overwatered, pests, diseases, too much light, not enough light. These are little things that we come in and we intervene in little bits. We add little bits of will, of action, of activity, or taking action on our part. We come in and we help. We come in and we nudge it a little bit. And by that cooperation between nature and you, and at the end of the day, we're all one. It's all one thing going together. Humans just are a little bit strange, and we like to try to control reality and make things happen the way we want. We don't trust that the universe will do it, so on and so forth. But when we begin to vibrate in that equilibrium of a relationship between us and nature, or us and our partner, or us and the dream that we're building, or the career that we're building, or the body that we're building, when we find that equilibrium point of trust and activity, or action and execution, and then trust and sort of patience and cessation of activity, you begin to find the sweet spot where it's like you just tap into this vein and you're just going. And what you've done is you've tapped into the secret of life, which is what I noted in the very beginning of this video of the balance of mind and heart, of activity and then inactivity, of execution and then trust and faith and patience and waiting, of doing and then not doing, right? Like, you think of meditation. Meditation is essentially cultivating the art of non-doing, of inactivity. In Taoism, this is known as wu wei, non-doing or not doing. Now, non-doing doesn't necessarily mean sitting and not doing anything. Non-doing means you're not being the one busy making stuff happen. Non-doing is an understanding, a profoundly deep understanding that the universe is doing shit too. You're not the one running the show 24/7. You have an effect, you have an impact. You do have say in what is being done, but also you have the ability and, in a way, a responsibility to learn to let the universe do stuff too. I've really come to feel that life is like a game of chess where you make a move and then the universe makes a move and you realize that move f***ed you over a little bit. And so you think about it. And then you make a move. And then the universe makes a move. And man, two people playing chess, yeah, they're enemies, but they also agreed to sit down and play chess. There's a cooperation. It's a game. It's literally a game. And what defines the game is you making a move and then letting the universe make a move. And then you respond accordingly. And this is beautiful because once you start to get the hang of it, you realize that the universe matches your energy. When you pour into, let's say, a relationship, and the move that they make is to not match your energy, or maybe, frankly, not do anything, you're being informed that maybe they're not who you want to be with. Whereas if you make a move, you pour into something, you pour into somebody, and then they pour into you, that's called reciprocation, bro. You're being met. That's the universe responding to your energy. Or if you, for example, offer loads and loads and loads of value and service to people, and all of a sudden, everybody wants to throw their money at you and say, help me with this, do this, can you teach me that, show me this, what did you do to get this, that, and that. All of a sudden all this stuff's coming to you. That's the universe matching your energy. That's the universe giving back to you what you've given to it. That's the chess moves, man. We're not working against each other, we're working with each other. That's really what the word understanding means. Like, I remember having this epiphanous moment realizing that the word understand means to stand under. To understand. And when you understand somebody or something, you're acting as a foundation for the totality of them to express out of and off of. You're acting like the foundation for them to be what they are, or for the situation to be what it is. You understand something. You stand under it and hold all of what it is. And this is what the universe does with us, where when we begin to get into that flow, when we find that middle way, the universe begins to work in our favor. You ever heard it said how the universe conspires in your favor? Like, there's this ongoing phenomenon in my life where I swear it's the same penny, man. I find this penny everywhere in my house. One moment it's in my pocket, next moment I'm finding it again. And obviously it's getting misplaced through I put it down, or it's usually like based upon the laundry and stuff. But there's this penny that just kind of floats in circulation around my home. And every time I see it, the first time I saw it, I was like, it's just a penny, whatever. But then I was like, wait. No, that's not just a penny. That's abundance, bro. That's abundance. Talking about just a penny. That penny is what gets you to a financial point of freedom. Like, you see what I'm saying? It's all about the mindset. And I saw that penny, I was like, no. And I went and picked it up, and I said, thank you for the abundance. And I put it on my pocket. And from that point on, it's began this game of I forget about it, and then I find it again. I just keep finding it. I don't even recognize that I've lost it. I just keep finding the damn penny. And every single time, whether it's on the counter, whether it's in the dryer, whether it's in my pocket, whether it's wherever it is, every time I find that penny, I say, abundance. And I excitedly put it in my pocket, and so on the game continues of where I find it the next time. It's really beautiful, you know? And here's another beautiful image of how it's about doing and then being patient. Doing, putting in your effort, executing action, and then trusting that the universe knows what to do with that. How do you think gardening works? Think about when you plant something. Like we were talking about earlier, you put the seed in the proper conditions and then it grows, and then what does it do? It creates a surplus of seeds that you can then collect. It creates a surplus of fruit, a surplus of flowers, a surplus of seeds, or whatever it is. And you, as the farmer, reap the seeds that you've sown. Okay, so you take all the seeds. Now let me ask you this. What happens if you don't plant any of them again? They all go away. They become non-viable seeds, or you use up all the resources, whether it's fruits or flowers or whatever. You use up all the resources, and because you didn't give any back to nature, it disappears. But what the smart farmer does is when they reap what they've sown, they give a little bit back again for round 2, for season 2. And then the universe, nature, produces it again. And then they take all of it and they give a little bit back. And then it does it again and again and again and again, seemingly infinitely. That's the cool part about abundance and prosperity, is like there's like more than enough to go around, but don't be greedy. Don't think it's all about doing and then taking it all. You need to be willing to give it back. You need to be willing to do little bits of activity and then trust. And that's literally where I am in my life right now. Like, that's what creates a beautiful relationship. I keep mentioning and referencing the image of the relationship. What makes a beautiful relationship is the fact that they are not you. They're their own person with their own personality. And when you say something, you don't know how they're going to respond. You don't know what they're going to say. You don't know what their next move is. That's exciting. That's interesting. That's what makes for a beautiful connection. Watching YouTube videos on self-help is one thing, but working with someone who can offer you practical and advanced feedback tailored to you personally is a whole other thing. The most progress I've ever made in a particular area in my life was when I had someone working with me personally on that particular thing. So if you resonate with these videos and you have something going on that you think I could help you with, click the link in the pinned comment below to book a completely free discovery call on a date and time of your choice. We'll talk, get to know each other, and we'll see if it would be in both our best interest to work together in my coaching program in the future. I promise you it'll be worth your time. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you there. Whether it's friendship, or whether it's platonic, or romantic, or familial, or whatever. What makes it interesting is the fact that there's this quality of lack of control. You don't get to pick what happens. That's like once you've played a video game and you've beat the video game and you know the whole storyline, it gets to the point where after the fact it's like, I've done it. I know what's going to happen. I've beaten all the bosses. I know what's around that corner. You've figured it all out, and so it kind of loses its zest. And then you realize that what made it so fascinating was the lack of predictability. And the lack of, and realizing that what was fun about it was the not knowing, but continuing to carry on anyways. Was taking action and then seeing what happens. That's exactly how a relationship works. And that's what's so important about like being an individual, standing up as your own person, because if you don't express yourself, if you aren't there in the relationship, if you aren't willing to create sort of healthy opposition, well, the person you're with isn't really with anybody. And the same goes for if your partner isn't showing up as a substantial individual, their own separate entity. It's kind of like nobody's there, and you're like feeling around like, hello, are you there? Where's my partner? You see what I'm saying? I used to have a friend years ago, and we're not really friends anymore, but it was like he was a people pleaser, kind of a pushover, a doormat, where he didn't really express himself. And if I didn't say anything, nothing was being said. And if I didn't say what we were going to do when we were hanging out, we would just kind of sit there. And it was like I wasn't even hanging out with anybody. But then I had this completely other friend who, When I said something, he would catch me off guard because he disagreed with it, and he'd let me know really quickly. And I'd be like, oh, and it's stimulating. It gives you stuff to work with. Now, if you're coming from the position of thinking you have to grind, do it all, figure it all out today, you're not trusting the universe. You're not cooperating with the universe. You're playing God. And the universe responds accordingly. It says, all right, I'll let you do everything. You better keep acting, because if you don't keep doing everything, nothing's going to happen. But what if I told you that you can fucking relax? You can let the universe play its part. It's part of its responsibility. It's part of the way life works, is for the universe to react synergistically with you. You don't have to do everything. Matter of fact, you're not doing everything. There is so much that you claim you did that actually took place in an interval of inactivity on your part. Like a relationship, if somebody choosing you, you didn't make them choose you. They chose you, bruh. Or having clients in your business. They chose you. You were just what you were. You offered your services. You put yourself out there. Maybe you did a little bit of networking and marketing, but at the end of the day, they chose you. That's the universe, bro. That's the universe playing its part. Or you're working out. Yeah, you pumped some iron, but were you the one that grew the muscles in the middle of the night over the next couple days while you were resting or whatever it was? Can you see how there is a quality, maybe even 50-50, right down the middle quality of you doing something and then the universe matching your energy? If you put in the vision, if you put in the desire, if you put in the effort in a particular direction, yeah, you may be met with some backlash, some pushback, some problems and trouble as one word. Some troublums may show up in your life. But you want to know what you do? When a troublum shows up when you're playing chess, do you throw in the towel? Are you done? Or do you think it over and make the next best decision? We have to be willing to let the universe play its part. We have to be willing to let go a little bit. Come into your body for just a moment. How tense are your shoulders and your jaw and your back and your face muscles? Are you like this? Do you walk around like this? Can you try letting the universe play its part in your life? Can you try being in a relationship with life, a cooperation with life, rather than a dominating force over life? Rather than being in a constant confliction with life. Rather than feeling like the victim of life. Oh, if life does this and I'm going to do that. Can you be willing to trust that in the same way life and you have gotten you all the way up to this point you're at now, that you can let go of the reins a little bit? And trust that life has your best interest in mind and will help you in taking steps. Every time you make an action, every time you put work in, be mindful of also having a period of letting go. Because this is what allows the universe, your relationships, your career, your job, your business, your body, your
whatever, your garden, whatever, come into equilibrium with you and sort of recalibrate with the work, the effort, the love, the intention that you've put in. When you begin to see life as an entity that you're dancing with, life begins to get extraordinary, and you begin to realize that it does not require the level of effort and strain and force that you've been putting in for all this time that's burnt you out and exhausted you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritual, all of it. You can let go, and you can let the universe fill in that void, fill in that gap, because the universe is way more intelligent and alive than you give it credit for. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.